Baily. Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi. I feel pretty good right now. I ate 2 enchiladas. I had some rice. I had beans. I had a bite of a cream cheese rangoon. I had a mocha frappuccino and half of a tamarind drink. So yeah, I feasted. I feel fantastic. Tummy feels nice. But at the same time, I know it's bad, but I kind of want sweets. But gosh darn it. As much as I'm like, this is yummy, this is great, I want more. My gluttony knows no bounds. I do have some, chocolate wheat puffs next to me, but nah, it's for later if anything. I don't want to pass out. Let's see if I can finish part 1 for Anti-Parallel today. If can ye, if cannot, oh well. So time for the strange reunion. The form you once changed is now utterly unfamiliar now that you encountered it again. Hello. Man, the temptation to get Kira cosplay is so strong from Pure Magic Pictures. But it's difficult finding that one jacket. Maybe I just don't get the jacket. I could just be super casual without a jacket. The team led by Lentine moves swiftly through the yellow zone. Finally, it comes to a halt at the mission coordinates designated by the conglomerate. Before them stands a battered base, shattered walls and exposed rebar, such as it once weathered a wave of devastation. The building's broken silhouettes traced eerie, jagged shapes against the sky, proclaiming its danger across the land. Lentine is the first to jump down from the command vehicle. She stamps the uneven ground firmly underfoot, her expression grim as she surveys the base's entrance. Maybe I will ask. Lentine's voice spreads through the tactical comm channel to every member of the Omen squad. Her voice is icy yet steady, somewhat dispelling the fatigue from her hurried march. The order makes Kenny hesitate for just a split second. He gives Lentine an instinctive glance. I wonder if everyone on Omen Squad has bags under their eyes like Lentine and Kenny. There's no emotion to be read from Lentine's voice, but Kenny knows that his tiny reaction hasn't escaped her notice. Because Lonnie doesn't look very tired because he's not part of the squad, so it's not like everyone at Mangi is super overworked. Oh, Kenny. Sensing the implication behind Lentine's words, Kenny's spirits sink into rock bottom. Jannie, you sweet summer child. Lentine cuts him off, her tone ice cold. Helen can be my mommy. She can adopt me. Man, I really gotta summon her when she comes back. Like, gosh darn it, missed opportunity on my part. I didn't think I would like her so much, but no. Stinky me. Ooh, Elids. The sounds of terrified screams and full auto gunfire ring out in rapid succession through the comms. Lentine closes her eyes, frustration etched across her brow. She wraps her knuckles hard against the tactical tablet, producing dull thuds. People always tend to hesitate at a fatal moment, driven by strange human sympathy and force of habit. And that's exactly what just happened, even though she had already given the ruthless order to eliminate every living creature they encounter. Even a single record of hesitation could decide your fate in a place as dangerous as this.
状況は
The voices coming through the comms are breaking up every now and then, speech interspersed with heavy panting and the roar of gunfire. Lentine waves her hand, signaling Kenny to push the other squads toward the ambush point to provide support. Unlike the previous sweeps of long-abandoned Paradise bases, the coordinates the conglomerate has provided them this time clearly contain a significant number of hostiles. The squad swiftly suppress the remaining enemies, not before paying the price. Lentine personally leads the team straight to the Paradise experiment area. Lentine orders her squad members to wipe out the products of all experiments in the vicinity. She establishes a defensive perimeter around her position, holding back the enemies that keep emerging from every corner.
実験体の数が異常に多い。しかも大半は人間か。
Kenny's voice is hoarse. He cannot bring himself to blurt out everything on his mind.
余計なことを考える癖を直さないと早死にするぞ。
そうかもしれませんね。ホワイトエリアの違法実験の資料をここに置いていって、チルロビグとの関わりを示す証拠をロレンに提出するだけの仕事だと思っていました。この様子じゃ。
Oh, Kenny.
ここはその実験と無関係ではないですよね。
財団のお偉方にこんな場所を捨てさせたの。上出来だ。人間は力を追い求め続ける生き物なんだよ、ケニー。頭の湧いた連中はお前の想像よりはるかに多い。力の均衡だけが争いを止める抑止力だ。そして私たちはその均衡を維持するための駒。
資料の偽造、財団の証拠隠滅、今さら意味のないことです。他の施設では今も無数の実験を繰り返している。奴らからすればここがダメになっても場所を変えればいいだけです。
Yes, Kenny.
知らぬが仏だ。証拠がなければ裁くこともできない。上の連中はお前が思っているよりもずっと愚鈍だから。さあ、手を動かせ。
After instructing her subordinates to maintain the defensive line and handing over her deception work, Lentine connects to an encrypted call with DP-12.
今敵を制圧しているところ。すぐにパラデウスのデータセンターを起動する。情報処理の確認が済んだら権限をすべてチルロビグに書き換えろ。
少々お待ちを。
それから動画をそちらに送った。暗号化してバックアップを多めに取れ。3日間私が動画データに触れなかったら自動的にロレンに送られるよう設定しておけ。
どんなに可能性が低いリスクにも備え、あなたらしいですね。
カルメンの目がなければここまでする必要はなかったがな。
A massive explosion suddenly roars through the Paradise base mid-conversation. The whole structure shudders violently. The sounds of collapse echo without end. Debris from the ceiling rains down like a storm, crashing to the floor with deafening impact.
予想以上に相手の反応が早い。完璧を求めるならもう少し時間が必要ですが、この調子だとあと。
The sounds of explosions arrive one after another, steadily encroaching on Lentine's position. Another blast rings out, closer and more violent than the last. The piercing screech of metal comes from directly above Lentine. A section of the ceiling breaks free and plummets toward her. Kenny lunges from her side with a desperate shout, throwing all of his weight into knocking Lentine away. The two humans tumble to the ground. The comms device flies from Lentine's hand, skidding and tumbling across the floor, abruptly severing its connection to DP-12. A thick cloud of dust and smoke engulfs him in an instant. Kenny's the real one. Lentine struggles to push herself up, but the dust still has her coughing violently. Kenny, who was lying face down, is already back up. He positions himself with his back to Lentine, down on one knee with his weapon raised as he visually sweeps their surroundings. Kenny is such a good boy. Lindsay doesn't answer. Her gaze is aimed past Kenny's shoulder, fixed on the area that just collapsed. Lindsay realized that she might have walked straight into a trap. She thought that she was prepared, and yet she didn't expect the enemy to act faster than her. Judging by the direction of the explosions, there is more than one enemy. This place has become a death trap, about to snap shut. All her so-called bargaining chips are worthless in the face of death.
まだ任務は終わっていません。現在爆発箇所の確認中です。
バカ。それじゃ犬死にも同然だ。確認しに行った奴らを呼び戻せ。撤退だ。
ですが、それでは財団に言い訳が。
命あっての黒種だ。前にどうして全滅する部隊が出るのか聞いてきた。
確か情報不足が原因だと。
私が上の連中。
Exactly.
情報を秘匿するために実行部隊には任務で死んでもらう方が一番都合がいい。
それじゃあ。
The color drains from Kenny's face as the worst-case scenario dawns on him.
マグには財団が抱える数ある PMC の一つに過ぎない。ましてやもっと使い勝手のいい第三世代人形を。それに数は多くないが着実にこちらに近づいてくる音がする。私たち以外の誰か完全に崩れる前に離脱する。行くぞ。
Another explosion. Light and fire shoot into the sky as the roar of concentrated gunfire mingles with the howls of elites. An armored vehicle zips across the open wilds, hurtling toward the base at breakneck speed.
うわー、これどう見ても崩れ始めてるよね。本当に入るの？ヘレナちゃんの栄養剤
Helen needs her green
あ
juice.
りますからね。
指揮官、爆発範囲がどんどん広がってるわ。今入るのは極めて危険よ。
I stare at the ruined building ahead. Shrouded in fire and smoke, the nutrient solution Helena needs is right in front of us.
全速力で突っ込んで。
本気で言ってる？
Yes!
しっかり捕まってなさい。わかったよ。
The armored vehicle lets out a roar as its engine is pushed to max output. It shoots forward like an arrow loose from a bow, recklessly plunging straight into the heart of the chaos. Dust, smoke, and debris pelt the windshield, hammering against the bulletproof glass in a loud, relentless barrage. Amid the deafening roars, the armored vehicle crushes the already crumbling outer wall in a nigh suicidal charge, finally coming to an emergency stop inside the devastated experiment area. I kick the door open. A pungent wave of gunpowder dust and some kind of chemical agent rushes in.
コミュニティの人形たちが手伝うって言ってたのに、どうして私が来ないといけないのさ。もうフルカイの車には乗り。黙って働く。ちえ、フルカイは指揮官がいるからこの車に乗ったんでしょ。せっかくあんたの戦力に期待しようってのに恥をさらす気？はいはい。
It's okay, we can give Mitzi
療養人形ですけど。
some manga in return.
この場所。
A manga, a comic book, and maybe a figurine.
遅すぎましたか？
I survey the wrecked lab and the commotion from moments ago. It seems that Mongi's security is already pulled out in a hurry.
目的に集中しましょう。邪魔する敵は全て撃って。
了解。栄養剤はこの辺にあるはずです。間違いありません。
そうね。敵の撤退ごとに私たちの向かうエリアと被っているわ。
爆発で全員撤退したようね。こんなところにわざわざ入ってく
We're
る
the
の
only ones dumb enough.
私たちしかいないって。黙って動きなさい。奴ら実験機材を破壊しているわ。分かったよ。
This will be fine. Funk. And then round 2, the rest go down. Welcome, new enemies. Ta-da! Amid the thundering explosions, Mongi Security's forces do not attempt to engage us again. Instead, they conduct a fighting retreat, withdrawing rapidly. I gaze at the distant squad. The female commander at its head stands out strikingly among the uniform ranks. Her gaze crosses mine for a moment. She seems to consider letting her gaze linger on me several times, but never under cover from her subordinates. She ultimately chooses to withdraw. Glentine. I've heard this name from Helen many times. The gaze that repeatedly lingers on me carries what feels like a mix of curiosity, appraisal, and the sense of someone sizing up prey.
指揮官、そろそろ崩れるわ。
栄養剤持っていけるだけ持っていきますよ。ねえ、そこ私が座るとこなんだけど、置く場所がないんですから、ちょっと我慢してくださいね。
Sorry,
まさか
Maxie.
私に走れって言ってないよね。やだやだ。
Oh, she has to run.
今度来る会の膝に座ってもいいかな。
You can sit on my lap.
それくらいはいいでしょ。ね、ちょっとなんでみんな黙るの
No.
さ。とにかく
Did she not sit on my lap?
走るのは嫌だからね。
あんた、瓦礫に埋まりたいの？
相変わらずブラックだ。
Amid the chaos, I quickly locate the central control terminal inside the base. Fortunately, it wasn't completely destroyed during the combat. The terminal comes to life after a few key presses.
ここのデータをコピーしておいて。ヘレナが助かる方法が書かれてるかもしれない。
了解。アクセス拒否。でもクラッキングする時間がない。
After Monkey security withdrawals, some of the elites that have been drawn to them move back to us. Phi-MD fight them off the best they can, while Cove busies herself with hauling the nutrient solution containers that I selected, at least the ones that seem potentially useful. The enemy must have processed and edited the data before we arrived. To fully decrypt it, we would need a doll with exceptional intel processing abilities. Helen comes to mind, but reaching her requires routing through multiple relay points. I don't think I can get her help right away. Just as I was thinking up a solution, Helen's voice comes through the comms channel right when I need her.
指揮官、もうパラデウスの拠点内に。
ええ、
Perfect timing.
マグにもいたけど戦わずに撤退した。今はデータセンターにアクセスしようとしているところよ。
実は数分前にちょっとした手を使ってそこのデータを改ざんしました。必要でしたら大会のお土産としてお渡しいたします。
Well, how nice of her.
早くそこから離れてください。まもなく最後の爆破が始まります。
マグニが撤退した理由はあなたの情報なの？
私はただ敵が想像以上に早く来ていると知らせただけです。コクーンが利用できるのはマグニだけじゃありませんから。第三世代人形を手駒として使える財団も同じです。この辺にある情報すべてに手を加えました。ロレンはパラデウスの情報権限を持つ人物はジル・ロビスだったという結論に至るでしょう。財団の他の実験室に関しても別の隊が証拠隠滅に向かいました。これでロレンの調査も滞るはずです。
The base is collapsing fast. Larger chunks of debris have begun crashing down.
指揮官、どうするの？
総員撤退。
Yeah, staying in there wouldn't be good.
本当はもう少し。
Next one. Oh, I'm gonna fight Cocoon. Ooh. Reflection interplay, similar yet different entities now entwined with each other. Kinda sounds kinky. Beat. In an unassuming, not unassuming. It's not sus, it's not sus. Yeah, close to done with part 1, which means I can probably start part 2 tonight. In an unassuming corner with Mangi security, a doll deftly swipes open a door lock, carefully stepping into a dust-covered archive room.
状況は？
今のところ順調です。あなたの偽造権限は実に使い勝手がいい。でもドゥシェーブヌイさんのバックアップは本当にここにあるのですか？
Mathilde cautiously looks around her surroundings. Rows of storage shelves extend deep into a dimly lit room. Each shelf is marked with a large letter on its side. The shelves are covered in dust, with countless file bags piled on them haphazardly.
放置されてずいぶん長く経っているように見えます。
だからこそです。目立たない
It makes me wonder how difficult it is to see because, like, I like long bangs, but the ones that cover the eyes, I'm like,
ここはマグニチョ
is that good for combat? I'm sure the enemy won't know where she's looking with that other eye, but still.
不吉の象徴と見られ、今や忘れ去られているこの場所こそ。
Also, the top they gave her is so funny. She has a nice little jacket and
こ
then
のレンティーヌさんは万一に備えて
a little bulletproof vest on the front.
なるほど。それだけ
You
慎
don't
重
need
な
anything
人
else to
間
wear,
なら
right?
バックアップをここに保存している可能性は高いと。
その通り。紙の資料ともなれば検索に頼る人形にとっては盲点にもなります。人形を信頼していない彼女らしい。
わかりました。ではすぐにバックアップを探します。ただ
You don't know how important doll's eyes actually are for your sight.
大丈夫。
There's one doll with the quirk of keeping her eyes closed 90% of the time, but she still sees fine.
少なくとも識別コード
Okay, in that case, no worry.
ぬいちゃんのこと。頼
The
み
tactical module is the bangs. So that she's faced to aim down the scope with just one eye. Catching something unusual in Helen's voice, Batil pauses her search and frowns at the comm screen.
はい。見つけ次第すぐ一緒にここから出ましょう。やっとあなたを見つけたんです。出られないなんて言わせません。バックアップを取り戻せてもあなたも一緒じゃなければここまで来た意味がありません。
出るですか。
Helen's movements pause for a moment. The constant flow of intel data shines in her eyes, flickering in uncertainty.
あなただって本当は出たいんでしょ。
一番簡単な方法は損傷により廃棄された人形にカテゴライズされることです。ニキータさんの協力があればあなた方2人は容易に脱出できるでしょう。
じゃああなたは同じことをすればいいじゃないですか。
私はレンティーヌさんの秘密を知りすぎました。そう簡単に私を見逃してはくれません。ただ私を切り捨てなければいけないほどのピンチが訪れれば話は別でしょう。もしくは私を差し出した方が得になるような取引を持ちかけられるか。そしてそんな状況は私一人では作れません。
協力します。相手があなたでも指揮官でも借りを作ったままは嫌です。私はコミュニティを離れた時にはもう最悪の状況に備えて覚悟を決めています。ウルリロは仲間を一人たりとも見捨てません。あなたはコミュニティの一員ではありませんが私にとって
No
あなた
dolls
は
left
もう仲間
behind.
です。だから私たちを信じてください。人形コミュニティはいつでも力になります。あなたとドゥシェーブヌイさんの力に。
ぬいちゃん、ちゃんと居場所を見つけられたのね。
A gentle, relieved smile appears in Helen's face, but her gaze soon sharpens again as she begins reevaluating the whole situation.
そうですね。一人で悩んでいても拉致が開きません。レンティーヌさんに立ち向かうにはまだ手札が足りない。それもとっておきな思いもよらないカードを。例えばあの高慢な第三世代人形さんとか。
そうしましょう。
Faced with Batil's resolve, Helen smiles.
ではまずはここから。
After the URNC investigators station themselves in Mongi Security, they requested access to portions of the database. Mongi Security hands them some permissions for surface-level data, but all core data related to Lviv, Chiloveg's lab, and Palazzo Incorporated have already been hidden or altered by upper management. It is like a crime scene scrubbed spotless, seemingly airtight. But to Helen, every movement of data leaves ripples in the Intel archives. She stealthily navigates through the depths of this data, sensing the unnatural, textured traces that have been forcibly smoothed out.
リビウの事件は偶然なんかじゃない。放射線量の変わったタイミング的にチルロビグの実験室と絶対に関係がある。楽園計画の責任者であるオレク・ジラードはすでに逮捕された。当局はチルロビグと彼女を支援したトラ奏者を追っているけど、 大したものは出てこないはず。そしてトラ奏者の母体であるセシュト&ファルベングループも事件との関わりを全く匂わせていない。あのコクーンという人形は完璧なまでの虚像を作り上げた。財団上層部や当局にそれらしい調査結果を提出するため。いや、彼女は全く別の真相を作り上げようとしている。
A strange feeling envelops Helen. She feels as though she is trapped inside a false world, manipulated by an invisible hand. Every piece of reality she can touch may well be a product of tampering. Fabricating possibilities, this is what Helen does best, taking existing intel, reorganizing it, adjusting the sequence of events, guiding those who read it post-edit into drawing exactly the conclusion she wants. In the past, it was almost always her pulling the strings, but this time, she can clearly sense that someone else is doing the exact same thing. That someone is that third-gen doll, the one with the intel processing abilities eerily similar to her own, who's taken an extraordinary interest in her, Cocoon.
すべてはヘリを間違った方向に誘導するため。足跡を残してしまったわね。今度こそ捕まえた。
The instant Helen detects that other presence, a signal connects to Helen's level 2.
勤務中に邪魔するとはぶしつけな。いつぞやの方、やっと捕らえました。はじめましてではありませんね。
We meet at long last. Ooh. In that case, let's start by clearing this side. Most perceptive. I'm quite curious as to your true power. Oh, this is a fun first meeting. Hey, girl. Cocoon. Cocoon maintains her effortless smile, even when faced with an unrelenting stream of data attacks.
私と同じようにね。あなたの正体には驚きました。あら、第三世代人形さんに目をつけられていましたか。
Helen forces herself to stay calm, wielding every last bit of processing power to defend herself in the electronic warfare battle.
マグニのデータセンターに何度もアクセスし、情報を改ざんしていたのはあなたですね。これについての証拠をすでに提出しました。まもなく取り調べを受けることになるでしょう。
Cocoon lets out a soft chuckle, brimming with confidence.
マグニでならかねてより興味を抱いていた DP12 にお会いできると思っていました。あらゆる手を使って見つけた DP12 はメンタルに穴の開いた劣等人形に慣れ果てていた。正直失望しました。くだらない結果を受け入れるしかないと思っていました。今あなたと会うまで。
Cocoon's tone turns aggressive, as if she intends to peel open and look through every layer within Helen's neural cloud.
KSVK。いや、これはあなたの本当のコードではありません。当ててみましょうか。あなたこそ本物の DP12 です。
Wow, what would make her think that? Her level 2 is slammed by sudden assault. Helen feels everything around her begin to peel away and shatter.
これが第三世代。
Facing an opponent with a performance and access permissions far exceeding her own, Helen's level 2 defenses begin collapsing layer by layer under the onslaught. Helen can barely hold her ground even with every ounce of her processing power committed.
ここで私を見つけたのですから、賞賛に値する情報処理能力です。ですがそれもここまで。
No, Helen, you got this. The attacking data crashes over Helen's desperately maintain defenses in an instant, engulfing her like an overwhelming tide. In the final moment before her neural cloud is breached, Helen uses Lentine's copied permissions to trigger the highest level alert possible in Mangi security.
これならもしかしたら
Following Helen's action, an instruction is sent through a vulnerability in Mangi security's defenses to every decommissioned doll warehouse. Countless decommissioned doll frames stored in the warehouses activate all at once, like a torrent of steel-driven berserk. They smash open the warehouse doors and pour out like a swarm of hornets, attacking every target in sight. Alarms blur through Mangi security in an instant. Cocoon, who was in control over the situation, cannot help but feel a flash of irritation at having her plan disrupted.
面倒見つけた
Pushing the well-disguised neural cloud back up, Batil lifts her head from the mountain of messy files, only now does she hear the abnormal alarms and sounds of chaos coming from outside the archive room. She immediately tries to contact Helen, but the call doesn't go through. All that remains in the comms channel is a single message from Helen.
予定より早いですが撤退開始を川で何が起きているの
Batil quickly decides to call Niketa since the archive room has not drawn any attention yet.
すみませんニキータさんヘレンさんの状況は分かりますかこちらからは連絡がつきませんそれと外で暴れている人形たちは何なんですか
マグニセキュリティの人形が暴走していますですがちょうどいい時間です安全に注意しルチェーブ内のメンタルバックアップを探してください私は追っており引き離します
バックアップならすでに手に入れましたこのまま素材を再起動しに行きます
本当にそれなら撤退も簡単になります
Niketa's voice is interspersed with intense gunfire and the sound of running footsteps, slightly distorted by electrical interference.
とにかく今は非常に混乱した状況です私にすらデータセンターの破壊命令が来ています
まさか
おそらくヘレンかコクーンの仕業ですヘレンと連絡が取れませんもしかしたらこれがヘレンの最終手段なのかもしれません
指揮官からの増援も来ているはずですヘレンさんも助けましょう
今はそれを考えてる余裕はありませんとにかく混乱に乗じてルセーブ内を連れて逃げてください
わかりました
急いでください私だけでは長くは持ちません外の部隊にも緊急出動の指示が出されています本当にもう時間がありません
Matilda got this.
次の
It'll
目
be
標を教えて
fine.
ください
Probably. Yeah, no fear, no pain. Chiaroscuro, a looping illusion of delusion, inescapably linked to deeper influence. That sounds fun. Back when she worked at the nursing home, Dushavnaya always loved listening to the elderly residents telling stories of their youth. One particular word seemed to come up again: home. Without her even realizing it, this word took root in the deepest part of Dushavnaya's heart, turning into a fervent desire. She yearned for a place of belonging where she would never be abandoned. For a long time after meeting the commander in Griffin, she believed that she found the home that belonged to her. And so the home Dushavnaya longed for also became the future that Helen desired most. Can solve this problem by going to a local hardware store and buying modern T-Doll CPUs for the Gen 2s. She opens her eyes once more and finds herself in a familiar scene again. Helen looks at the bag of fresh vegetables in her hand. Then at the familiar door before her, she lets out a soft chuckle.
私のメンタルの奥深くまで入ってくるなんて面白いお客さんねここは私にとっての家であり一番馴染み深い場所ここではあなたに勝ち目はありませんただいま
Helen announces it like a declaration of sovereignty to an unseen enemy, saying the same phrase she always does. Setting aside her silver setting aside her sliver of worriness toward Cocoon, Helen smiles and pushes open the door she had opened countless times in the space of her own neural cloud. Hello,
お
hello.
疲れ。
The commander looks up and gives her a gentle smile just as always.
今夜はボルシチですよ。
I want some borscht.
すぐ出来上がるので、それまでゆっくり休んでてくださいね。
Though Cocoon's invading here, is she gonna try to cook Helen? Swiftly tying on her apron, she neatly lays out the ingredients, then starts to process them. Helen immerses herself in her cooking while still keeping an eye on any changes in the space around her.
どこから現れるのか
I half expected Helen to open the door and see like the commander with Cocoon. It's like, oh
手に持
no!
った食
How
材
dare you steal the
それ
commander?
とも部屋の隅っこからどんなにリセットされてもここだけは影響されなかったそれだけ私にとって大事な場所
Helen continues to cook as countless theories pass through her neural cloud, wearing the same relaxed, gentle smile she always does. Helen can be nuts, pure support for Wawa Dusha only. Ooh. At V6, she suddenly becomes a very strong secondary DPS too. So strong she can actually, with the right buffs, one-shot the Gunsmoke boss. Oh no! I mean, oh yes. Sheesh.
指揮官ぬいちゃんはどうですか最近訓練を頑張っていて1位を取りたいなんて言ってるんですよ指揮官
Receiving no reply, Helen turns to look. The next instant, she sees a lifeless figure lying on the sofa. The smile on Helen's lips freezes in an instant. Right then, she hears the sound of another person's footsteps in the room.
敵
Helen hurries after the footsteps, only to find Dushibnaya collapsed on the floor. The curtain stirs. A blurry figure splashes past the balcony, the enemy still around. Helen rushes to the balcony, desperate to chase down the murderer. Gosh darn it! Never mind, I was expecting something funny like anti-arc type of scene, but no, it's murder. Gosh darn it! But what greets her is the enemy's sudden counterattack. An immense force of impact engulfs Helen in an instant. Her body is paralyzed for a moment. The face of the murderer that should have appeared before her is covered by a veil of darkness. Every action she takes seems to be stopped by a crushing darkness. All Helen feels is herself falling, collapsing uncontrollably within her neural space.
こんな奥深くまで改ざんできるっていうの
Her consciousness returns. Helen gasps for breath, finding herself still standing in the room. The scene before her is the same as before. Ding dong. The familiar doorbell rings once more.
ただいま
Helen's neural cloud feels as though it is frozen solid.
さっきの私
Helen tries to walk to the door, only to find that she has no control over her frame. She is now a spectator, as if she is a guest in someone else's base lair. She watches herself leave this area and enter the room. She watches Dushibnaya look up and run toward her, only to be dismantled by her own hands. She watches herself walk expressionlessly towards the commander. Corrupted code makes the entire space shift in an instant. The faces belonging to the commander and Dushibnaya become blurred beyond recognition.
いやありえない何があっても私がぬいちゃんや指揮官を傷つけるようなことはしない
It's just an illusion.
私のメンタルじゃないなら話は別だけど私の認知をもとに再構築されたデータもはや私たちへの愚弄ね
Helen frowns at the events unfolding before her. Even though she knows that this space is a fabrication, watching herself commit acts that betray her own will still makes her stomach churn. Oh, that'd be like me watching myself deleting my gacha games on my phone. Without backing up my data. Ding dong. The doorbell rings once again. The same familiar setting returns. Helen stands in the room, gazing at the space that she has created. This is the home she always longed for. The core region of her neural cloud base layer. Countless enemies have attempted an invasion in the past, but she had the power to crush them at every time. But now the enemy has dragged her into this space, making her believe at the start that it was her own base layer. Be it Dushivnaya or her treasure commander, the enemy merely constructed a framework of them, then modified them using Helen's data and memories as a template.
そんなに私を真似したいならこれはどうかしら。
She just wants to troll Helen. Helen attacks, everything familiar before her dissolves into nothing in an instant. The warm lighting, the comfortable sofa, the commander's smile, Dushivnaya's silhouette. Everything disintegrates and scatters amid violent shaking, ultimately emerging into a single new, pure white silhouette.
人のメンタルをコピーして戦場に作り変え
Yeah, totally. Deleting the gacha games just means I get all the new free player pools.
第三世代人形さん。いいえ、むしろこの手で徹底的に消し去りたい余計なデータです。 VTuber 私を探していた原因、コロナホール計画です。それに参加した記憶は私にはありませんが、現状を見るに私のデータの一部があなたに植え付けられたのではないでしょうか。噂に聞く第三世代人形がこんなくだらない形で誕生していたの。
Wow, calling Cocoon's backstory boring. Faced with the doll's provocation, Cocoon maintains a composed smile.
創造者、私たちは他とは違うと言ってました。素体の構造もメンタルも第二世代人形とは雲泥の差です。優れた第二世代人形のデータは私たちのメンタルを構築する基本となりますが、通常それらは私たちの人格形成とともに抹消されます。それがあなた DP12 は私に消しがたい烙印を残し、あなたと会って確信しました。あなたの抱く執念の正体はあの指揮官です。私が忘れまいとあらゆる手を尽くして残した情報、それがこうも他人に影響を与えてしまうのね。
It's why the two are so similar and why Helen is so much more capable than Cocoon despite the hardware deficit.
あなたを含め
I believe in blue woman superiority. Though I do love pink. So whoever decides to go from blue to pink, I respect that. I do respect. Calmly but precisely manipulating a powerful data stream, Cocoon closes in on Helen within her neural space. However, as the distance shrinks, Cocoon finds that her movements are growing sluggish. Outside the base layer, a massive flood of redundant data appears to attempt joining her processing queue. It relentlessly tears at the computational space that she had perfectly planned, trying to occupy it.
システム計画を大量に引き起こして私の気をそらす。見事です。思い出しましたか？マグニに入ったあなたはデータセンターに変化が起きた時にあなたに通知が行くよう細工を施しました。普段なら大した負担にはなりませんが、今はどうでしょう。防衛機械の方も私がうっかり起動してしまいました。あなたの元へ向かっている最中でしょう。ガラクタの寄せ集めなど恐れるに足りません。あなたの実力を疑うつもりはありません。あなたの権限なら本来警報も機械も今すぐ止められるはずですが、記録を残すのはまずいでしょう。
Oh man, leaving traces of her records? That'd be such a shame.
勝手な情報改ざんや財団の権限を振りかざして依頼を出したことは知られたくないはずです。何よりあなたの背後にいる主にとって都合が悪い。経験上知りすぎた人形はリセットするのが財団の基本的な対応です。第三世代人形も同じですか？
Alarms continue to blare. Meanwhile, Helen's attacks grow more and more ferocious in level 2. For the first time since this competition began, the thought of retreat crosses Cocoon's mind. Cocoon regards the enemy before her coldly, weighing her options. She ultimately chooses to withdraw. if Blue Sphere was here to provide her cover right now, she could just slip into Monkey Security's intel archives, alter the data, and check what is going on. But as Helen pointed out, no matter how much she modifies the data at this point, traces of tampering will inevitably remain. Eliminating DP-12 in her current circumstances would endanger her actual mission. There was something more important to attend to. Shelving her clash with Helen for the time being, Cocoon rapidly pulls data from the intel archives and begins mass-scale deletions and alterations. In Helen's room, Batil carefully props the doll up into a sitting position, calling her name softly. She loaded Dushivnaya's neural records 2 minutes ago, then completed a preliminary check. She has already checked this neural cloud. She's certain that the backup is intact, but whether Dushivnaya can really recover and what state she'll recover to remains uncertain, and that still makes her nervous. Thankfully, the doll finally opens her eyes after what feels like an eternity. Good morning. Matilda excitedly grabs the doll's arm, but the doll just stares at her in bewilderment.
ここはマグニセキュリティにあるあなたとヘレンさんの部屋です。よかった。やっと。ヘレンはどこだ？
The doll looks around in confusion, but Till gently shakes her head, or her hand, trying to pull her to her feet.
ヘレンさんは今取り込み中です。迎えに来ました。一緒に帰りましょう。帰る？うぬは誰なのだ？
No!
知らない顔だぞ。私はバチルだ。人形コミュニティの仲間。DP-12 を探しにマグニセキュリティに
Does she
潜
not
入したん
remember
で
this
す。
stuff?
覚えていますか？
Looking into the doll's still bewildered eyes, Batil presses a frustrated hand to her forehead.
このバックアップは古すぎた。
Oops.
詳しいことは後で話すので、とにかく今は逃げ。
残念ながらそういうわけには参りません。
Batil snaps her head toward the source of the voice. Standing in the doorway is a pink-haired doll, studying the room's occupants with evident amusement. Dang, the backup is from before she got wiped out by Mongi the first time. Meeting a pair of eyes that share a gaze eerily similar to Helen's, Batil freezes for a moment. Cocoon smiles and steps closer. Batil springs to her feet and spreads her arms wide, placing herself between Dushivnaya and Cocoon. But Cocoon pays Batil no mind. Her gaze pierces straight through her and lands on the bewildered doll sheltered behind her. The instant she sees Dushivnaya, the icy smile on Cocoon shifts unexpectedly, giving way to one that almost feels gentle, yet obviously deeply unsettling.
やっと会えたわね、KSVK。
何時は？
私よ。
BS! Do not fall for that! A sense of familiarity draws Dushivnaya toward Cocoon on instinct. Bang bang! Bullets strike the floor near Cocoon's feet without warning. Halting her approach, Niketa pushes the door and enters, raising her gun at Cocoon coldly.
第三世代人形コクーンに告げる。直ちに抵抗をやめろ。
Cocoon glances back at Niketa with a dismissive, light scoff. She then turns back, steps forward, walking smoothly towards Dushivnaya, completely ignoring the gun Niketa had trained on her from behind.
リセットされても覚えているわよね。
ヘレン。惑わされないでください。仲間は私たちです。今のあなたのメンタルは何年も前のものです。一緒に帰れば最新のものと同期できますから。
Dushivnaya looks at Batil next to her, then back at Cocoon, who is still approaching. She was awakened by the doll called Batil just moments ago. Despite her repeated insistence at their companions, the residual commands in her backup tell her that she should still be inside Mongi security, carrying out her duties. The pink-haired doll's frame looks nothing like Helen, yet her voice and manner of speaking are strikingly similar to the Helen buried deep in her memory.
家のこと覚えているかしら。
Cocoon, can you just like
私たち
stop?
と指揮官しかいない小さな部屋。
Cocoon's words are like a key, instantly unlocking Dushivnaya's long-sealed memories. But now, she's caught between a companion with a deathly familiar bearing and a doll who claims to be a companion from her future. Dushubnaya wavers, falling into confusion.
我は
She's not your mommy. Do not fall for
捨
this.
てられないようベストを尽くしてきたわね。指揮官との再会に備えてただひたすら強さを求めてきた。違う。ウノはヘレンではない。お互い素体は変わったけれどメンタルバックアップに間違いがあるわけないでしょ。
The scales begin to tip. Dushubnaya slowly lowers her weapon.
私と一緒に来て。一緒に指揮官を探しに。ああ、指揮官を。
Hesitation drains from Dushubnaya as soon as the commander is mentioned. Her spirit lifts in an instant.
惑わされないでください。彼女は敵です。本物のヘレンさんはすぐここに来るはずです。
よそ者の言葉に耳を貸す必要はないわ。
このヘレンさんのふりをするな。
Batilde's fury finally boils over. She roars and pulls the trigger, lighting up the room with muzzle flashes. But Cocoon doesn't even move her feet. She simply watches the white-haired doll quietly as Batilde's bullets graze past her, not a single one hitting its target.
ほら、ぬいちゃん。
The same composed smile remains on Cocoon's face, as though Batilde's assault were nothing more than an inconsequential, harmless bit of entertainment. Ignoring Batilde's protests, Dushubnaya approaches Cocoon, who reaches out to stroke her hair. It feels just like before. She remembers the countless days and nights curled up in Helen's arms, listening to Helen's exciting stories.
ヘレンに似ている。
No, it's not! Cocoon's hand moves slowly downward from Dushubnaya's forehead, as if by accident, covers her ears, or her eyes. She then lifts her head to face Batilde and Nikita, who cannot do anything about all this. She flashes them a provocative smile of victory.
時間がないわ。一緒にここを離れましょう。ぬいちゃん。
Footsteps rapidly approach the doorway. Batilde turns to look and finally sees a blue-haired doll rushing toward them.
私の仲間を離してくれますか、コクーンさん。
It's like, hello, Cocoon, can you not kidnap my daughter?
ヘレン。
想定通りの勝利です。
Oops.
本当はもう少し完璧に終わら
Separate ways, the collaborative relationship as accomplices has utterly broken down. Well, boss fight. The Helen who appears before Dushubnaya stirs an indelible sense of familiarity etched into the depths of her neural cloud. It compels her to instinctively take a huge step toward Helen. Yet a cold hand seizes her from behind. Dushubnaya turns and sees Cocoon's face, wearing the same gentle smile that left no room for a debate.
ダメよ、ぬいちゃん。簡単に騙されちゃ。
騙している張本人が何を。
指揮官の居場所を知っているわ。私と来ればすぐに会える。
指揮官は今人形こ。
Batilde blurts out a return on reflex, only to catch herself halfway. Realizing she nearly exposed the commander and the doll community's location, she swallows the rest of her words with bitter regret and shoots Cocoon an intense glare.
デシェーブヌイさん、一緒に行きましょう。指揮官の仲間たちもここに来ているんです。
何？彼は一体どっちを信じれば。
Tell her what year it is! Sensing Dushubnaya's renewed hesitation, Cocoon releases her grip. Instead, she gives Dushubnaya's shoulder a light push with her fingertip, a gesture so gentle yet carrying such a venomous lie.
選んで、ぬいちゃん。選択を間違えたら一人ぼっちよ。でも選ばなければ間違えることもない。ここに残ることが一番安全なんだから。
Cocoon's voice is like an enchanting spell, steadily encroaching on Dushubnaya's mind.
待ちたければ待てばいいわ。
Helen's voice, clear and resolute, cuts through the web of confusion that Cocoon wove.
選ばれたい。捨てられたくない。そんな思いを抱きながら、来る日も来る日も、あの人の帰りを待ってきた。臆病だった私たちの選択を、そのまま提案するんですね、コクーン。
感じは。
でも今度は待ってあげないわよ、ぬいちゃん。
Helen's gaze passes through all, reaching Dushavnaya. Helen's eyes hold no reproach, only a tender sense of sorrow, a gaze woven from sentiments so complex that no words could describe it.
あなたがここに残るというなら止めないわ。私たちのこれからの居場所は私自らの手で作る。
Hello, hello. The moment the words leave her lips, Helen launches another electronic warfare attack on Cocoon. Though her processing power is seriously low by now, she has a number of good companions by her side. Ignoring Dushavnaya, who is still standing in front of Cocoon, Batil and Niketa launch a simultaneous assault from both sides, forming a perfect pincer attack. Dushavnaya wants to stop both attacks on instinct, but Niketa's icy words pin her in place.
ドゥシェーブナイ、もし自分のことをマグニセキュリティの人形だと思っているのならよく聞け。公務執行妨害に当たる行為は裏切りとみなす。
裏切り者、そう思われてしまえば指揮官への道が途絶える。
Have you made up your mind yet? I don't know. Don't hesitate anymore. But we clearly... Perhaps it's another solution to the problem we're facing. Ho-ho? But I think the lady before you won't give you much longer to ponder the issue. Yeah, Cocoon is a master of gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. The right to choose is in your hands. Who should I believe? Who do you want as your mommy? Choose. Just do as I say, KSVK. No. I was joking about the thing inside of the fake apartment, but no. Actually seeing it kind of play out here, I don't like it anymore. My bad. Watching Helen, Niketa, Batil, and Cocoon clash without end, Dushavnaya's mind descends into unprecedented, messy chaos. Even now, she still racks her mind, trying to figure out which doll is the DP-12 she knows. If the doll called Batil was telling the truth, then the doll community is her place of belonging now. But in Neurocloud has no records of that place right now. She doesn't even understand her apparent reason for coming here in the first place, to find Helen, whom she had lost contact with long ago.
我はなぜヘレンと離れ離れになったのだ。また足を引っ張ったのか。
Gentle, strong, forever a guardian of everything, the DP-12 who always stood behind her, waiting alongside her, but now two dolls, both so eerily similar, standing before her. The right choice will be made this time. The instinct within her heart must be followed, even though she is now different from who she once was. The despondence and trust from before are etched into the depths of her neural cloud. It is an instinct, the one and only Helen, that she always relied on and looked up to.
お互い絶対に諦めない。
Dushavnaya steadies her thoughts. Her gun swings around, locking onto the imitation. The bullet tears through the air, shattering the tension of the battle.
遠く離れた星々もいずれ巡り合うものだ。
The sudden attack does not deal Cocoon a fatal blow, but it does graze her cheek.
この程度の攻撃。
セブヌイさん、やっと信じてくれた。たとえ他の全てを忘れたとしても、汝のことだけは忘れはしない。ずっと我を守ってくれた DP-12。ヘレンよ。
Dushavnaya's eyes blaze with conviction. This time, she runs toward Helen of her own accord.
共にここを離れよう。
Watching Dushavnaya run to her, Helen realizes that the scene she longed for all those years just happened right before her in that instant, despite the frame difference. Dushubnaya's neural cloud never got wiped. She wasn't too late. Helen never had to watch Dushubnaya leave her under the pressure of pursuers. The past dissolves like smoke.
DP12 ヘレン、共に指揮官に会いに行こう。場所を知っているのだろ。
Helen smiles gently, then answers Dushubnaya the same way she always does.
ええ。では行くぞ。
Dushubnaya grabs Helen's hand. They spring into the helipad amidst the unending alarms. Cocoon watches them flee. She breaks into an icy smile, then begins walking in the same direction as them. A wave of gunfire blocks up Cocoon's path. Niketa and Batilde rain fire on Cocoon almost simultaneously. Niketa gives Batilde a nod during Cocoon's momentary hold-up.
バチルだ、行きなさい。私が援護します。ええ、あとはお願いします。
Batilde runs after Dushubnaya and Helen, covered by Niketa. The alarm inside Mongi security continued to blare relentlessly. As an endless number of mechanical sentries surged to Cocoon's position. Cocoon attempts to break free, but Niketa's gunfire locks down her movements.
全員行っちゃったわね。どうして私だけ目の敵にするの？
私の受けた命令はマグニセキュリティのデータセン
Like,
タ
good
ー
for
を使
her.
用して
Getting to reunite
情
with the
報を
commander
改ざん
twice.
した者の確保。彼女たちは任務と関係ない。仮に敵だとしても指示がなければ私に止める権利はない。
敵は剣やれ。
During the brief standoff between Niketa and Cocoon, the crazed thoughts continued to pour in alongside Mongi security personnel, who responded to the alerts. They surround Cocoon on all sides. Outnumbered greatly, Cocoon smiles as if saying, "It can't be helped," before slowly raising her hands in surrender. Members of Mongi security seize Cocoon.
皆さん誤解していませんか？それに現時点の容疑では私をどうこうできる権利はないはずです。私は今でもトラ奏者を代表している立場なのですから。
トラ奏ね。せいぜいわめいてろ。聞いたぞ。トラ奏がリビウの実験室を援助していたことを。しかも後始末の任務に就いた連中は謎の勢力に襲われた。
確証のないことを口に出すのはよろしくないかと。公式発表が全て。違いますか？
Sure. Cocoon's lips curve into a smile, but her eyes tell a different story. In order to deliver her fabricated answer to a certain URNC guest, she had to let DP12, whom she had always been fascinated with, slip away. After battle fought in the base layer, Cocoon loses all interest in the blurred data fragments affecting her own base layer. It's pretty clear now, those incomplete data traces are merely core memory data that DP12 refused to forget.
無意味なデータ。後で必ず消そう。
Cocoon detests the blurred data lingering in her base layer. She once wondered if those memories have connections to the third gen doll's creator, but now it's clear that they should be wiped entirely. On the other hand, her brief clash with Heli has sparked in Cocoon a desire to snoop more. Weaving a perfect answer from existing intel, wrapping it in multiple layers of packaging, hacking into an enemy's base layer, tampering with data, all this is precisely Cocoon's area of expertise. She does not know whether her methods will work on Heli, but
さて、この情報を食べて
she has her
ど
next
んな
target.
反応をするかしら。
Steering away from the chaos in Mongi security, Helen guides the group away from the corridors where the enemies might appear, racing to the helipad.
ヘリコプター？廃棄資材に紛れて移動する計画は？
状況が変わりました。コクーンと対峙している間、内部権限をいろいろといじりました。廃棄された機械は私の指示で大規模破壊任務を開始したわけです。
とんだリサイクルですね。
Helen recalls their earlier conversation and lets out a soft chuckle.
ええ、それはもう。コクーンと同じ手を使ったので、とりあえず足はつかないでしょう。
ですが、ヘリコプターはどこで調達を？強奪でもするんですか？
普通ならそうですが、この状況では難しいと思います。
飛べるもの。ジェットパックとかを作ってみてもいいですが。
Ooh, jetpack could be
金も
fun.
余裕もありません。
それも一つの方法でしょう。 ですがまだ一つだけ可能性が残されています。指揮官の増援が来てくれれば。
The moment she finishes her sentence, the silhouette of a Black Hawk helicopter appears in the distant night sky. Batilde immediately raises her gun, ready to fire. The helicopter draws closer, the cabin door slides open before it even fully lands. Batilde sees Suomi waving frantically at them. Riding in a helicopter seems scary.
無事だったんですね。スオミ殿。
Seeing a companion from her Griffin days, Dushubnaya's anxiety finally eases somewhat. The helicopter touches down steadily on the helipad. Suomi rushes out from the cabin, throwing her arms around Dushubnaya and Batilde.
ヘリポートの座標を受信してすぐ指揮官が新しいチームを編成したんです。ここに来る道中も順調で幸いでした。
ヘリコプターの識別コードを変えましたが、時間稼ぎにしかなりません。行きましょう。
The sounds of footsteps draw closer. Helen watches Batilde, Suomi, and Dushubnaya board the cabin one by one, but she herself turns to face the building's corridor, showing no intention of leaving just yet.
ヘレン、何をしているのだ。マグニの人形だということ忘れていないだろうな。
A chilling voice pierces through the roar of the Black Hawk's rotor. Under Helen's watchful gaze, Lentine steps out from the shadows at the other end of the helipad. She casually tosses a mangled part of an autonomous mech at their feet. It hits the ground with a dull thud.
もちろんです、レンティーヌさん。
Lentine arches an eyebrow at the familiar form of address.
ならそのどこの馬の骨のものかもわからない乗り物が私への報酬のつもりか。
先に行ってください。私にはまだやり残したことがあります。
ヘレン、戻ってきてすぐ本部が攻撃を受けている知らせが入った。それと同時にお前から報酬とだけ名付けられた座標が送られ
Payment.
た。
はい。だからあなたはそれらの場所へ向かうべきです。いずれもマグニの上層部の位置情報です。うまく立ち回ればあなたはこの動乱からマグニを救った立役者になれるのですよ。
食えないやつだ。私が渡した権限でどれだけの小細工をした。
A lot. Everything. Lentine closes the distance, step by step. The click of her heels against the ground rings out clearly, even among the noise of the helipad.
ご安心ください。すべてはあなたへの恩を返すため。あなたが上へ行くきっかけを作ったに過ぎません。それがあなたの望みではありませんか？
Lentine ignores Helen and looks past her. The familiar doll stands behind Helen now, her face filled with anxiety.
ほう、私の隠したバックアップを見つけたのか。どうりでこれほどの騒ぎになるわけだ。
あなたのような有能で用意周到な人間には一つ傾向があります。それは無意識に自分の死後も考慮に入れて準備を整えることです。今もあなたは私の所有者です。私のしたことを暴いたところであなたには何の得にもなりません。スケープゴートもすでに作っておきました。あの第三世代人形です。
持ち主のことを覚えていたとは。
The concerns of Lentine's mouth twist into a mocking smile. She stops a few meters away from Helen, her eyes brimming with the cruel amusement of a predator toying with its prey.
あなたのしたいことは私が全部叶えて差し上げました。今はただここを出て久しぶりに指揮官に会いたいのです。指揮官にはあなたがマグニにいることを伝え。
黙れ。そんな安い命乞いには乗らん。お仲間はともかくお前はそうやすやすとは逃がさん。
では私に何をしろと？
そうだな。自害しろ、ヘレン。
Go wreck yourself. The roar of the helicopter's rotors scatters Lentine's words into the air. But Dushubnaga still reads the command. Through the movement of Lentine's lips and the muffled sound, terror seizes her entire body in an instant. She throws herself toward Helen with all her might, only to be held back by Batilde.
離陸します。ヘレンさんの気持ちを無駄にするつもりですか？ヘレン、早く！
Lentine's command transmits like a shapeless current, reaching Helen's mind in an instant. The smile that had been on Helen's face vanishes in an instant. She stands frozen in place, her expression vacant. Execute commands from your registered owner. That is the logic written into the base layer of every doll. Even third-gen dolls cannot defy this. Where can she inflict damage to self-destruct the fastest? And how can she destroy herself most completely? As an Intel specialized doll, she never set up any self-detonation protocol. Helen's memory drifts back to the day, years ago, when the order to wipe Dushivnaya's neural cloud came. Did the child go through the same thing? Obeying orders from above, quietly waiting for the execution? Helen slowly raises her hand. Her fingertips trace down from her neck. Just as Lentine was expecting her to comply, Helen raises her weapon and pulls the trigger on Lentine without a moment's hesitation. Lentine's force field activates instantly. The bullet ricochets off the surface, scattering across the ground. The next moment, the distress signal on Helen's body begins to transmit.
何？お前の権限は私が持ってる。なぜ抵抗できる？
マグニのサーバーが何者かによって不具合を起こしているようですね。早めに修理した方がよろしいかと。
しらじらしい。お前の仕業だったら直すのは無理だな。こうも簡単に落とされるとは使えない。
さすが第三世代人形の演算力といったところでしょうか。
The helicopter behind Helen has already lifted off. The massive downwash blows Lentine's hair into a mess. A rope ladder drops from above. Once she confirms that Helen's ownership permissions are no longer tied to Lentine, Dushivnaya raises her weapon and takes aim at the human.
マグニを出てイエローエリアに。お前たちだけで何ができる？
The tide shifts in an instant. Lentine's gaze darts back and forth between Helen and Dushivnaya. If only someone could help her attack the helicopter. But Lentine came here alone. She did it to prevent her subordinates from learning about her dealings with Helen. Now all she can do is watch them leave. She can do nothing to stop them.
あなたにはやるべきことがあるはずです。捨て駒から脱却するなら今しかありません。まだまだお世話になりますので、私からのプレゼント。気に入っていただけると嬉しいです。
Lentine, you're so lucky that Helen left you that.
共犯者ですから
Go
ね。
get your raise.
それではまたお会いしましょう。
次会ったらお前もお前の指揮官も屈服させてやる。
Unwilling to waste more time on the dolls fading into the distance, Lentine suppresses the fury within and turns, swiftly heading toward the omen's positions.
普段は安全なところで余裕こいて何か起きればすぐ全体を呼び戻す臆病者どもめ。面倒だ。
After watching Lentine disappear into the distance, Dushivnaya throws herself into Helen's arms inside the cabin.
ただいま、ぬいちゃん。今度こそずっと一緒よ。ご安心ください。危険は排除しました。
Yay! Portrait. Fantasies come true. The warm scenes she's imagined in her neural cloud countless times are finally within reach. Heh heh heh. Home of my heart. Forever after, never to be parted. The descending Black Hawk kicks up dust on the almost helipad, blowing away the downcast air that had been looming over the ship these past few days. After hearing that Dushivnaya and Batil made it back safely, Urid pays an official visit to the Elmo as the doll community's representative. Contrary to her valiant, cool appearance, Urid still looks kind of nervous when she sees me.
マグニの部隊は撤退した。今回は本当に助かった。
Hi, Urid.
お姉様、
I'll summon you someday.
バチルダさんもみんな無事で本当に良かったです。
I'm sorry. Seeing your companions finally back on the Elmo, all safe and sound, Suomi's tension finally dissolves.
ヘレイさんのおかげで前よりはるかに強い素体に完走できました。
あとはディセーブヌイさんに最新のバックアップと同期させるだけですね。
Dushivnaya instinctively glances at Helen at the moment of memories, her eyes casting an anxious glance that wished for Helen's help. I like learning about Dushivnaya. Like, that was cute. Her and Helen are adorable together. I want to eat Helen's borscht and whatever else she wants to cook. Seemingly unafraid of accepting a past she never knew, Dushubnaya feels a trace of apprehension lingering in her heart.
霧に隠れた過去を
Also, I hope the green juice was good for Helena.
ええ、
She
大
needs
丈
a
夫。
green juice.
記憶を同期したところで何も変わらないわ。
Helen's voice is as soft as it could be. She reaches out, gently taking Dushubnaya's trembling hands in her own.
今まで経験してきたことすべてがあなたのメンタルを形作っている。上辺の記憶があってもなくてもあなたはあなたなんだから。
そうかもしれぬ。だがマグニに入る前の記憶も気になる。その中にも我にとって大事なものがあるのではないだろうか。
もっと昔のバックアップはこれからゆっくり探せばいいわ。今はただ前だけを見ましょう。どんなに長く離れ離れになってどれだけのことを忘れても私にとってぬいちゃんはぬいちゃ
So
ん。
since Dushubnaya got her past memories back for the most part, is she no longer gonna talk Chuni? The tension in Dushubnaya's expression finally eases. A smile gradually returns to her face under Helen's reassurance.
どうしても不安でしたらコルフェンがカウンセリングしてあげますよ。無用。我は恐れぬ。残念。ヘレナちゃんのために用意したカウンセリングプランを早速使えると思ってたのに。
コルフェン、ヘレナの容体は？
いつ目が覚めるかわからない状態です。でも栄養剤の成分はメラニーちゃんと一緒に確認したので大丈夫です。目が覚めたらすぐに指揮官に知らせますね。
Okay, so the green juice was good. Cove tilts her head to the side and gives me a deliberately obvious wink.
どちらかというと指揮官の方が心配です。リビューを出た後一度もちゃんと寝ていませんよね。時間をかけてぐっすり眠れば起きた頃にはいい知らせが待っているかもしれませんよ。
確かに。わかった。
My gaze shifts to Helen, who is watching quietly nearby. Recalling that I haven't arranged her accommodations yet, I decide to help her get settled on the Elmo. I bring Helen to the room prepared for her. She takes a moment to rest.
エルモ号にはまだまだ部屋がある。
I love how she just changed her outfit
デュシ
instantly.
ーブネーの来るつもりならいつでも歓迎するわ。
あの子の迷いが
Nice
わ
dress
かる
and
のですね。
sunglasses.
10年前
Like,
勝手
make
に消え
yourself
た
at
の
home,
は
Helen.
私よ。スオミやデュシエブヌイがどんな選択をしようと
Also, wow, look at that
一
fancy
切
necklace she
干渉
has.
するつもりはない。
私には冷たく聞こえます。
冷たい。
あの子は自分から聞くのが怖いんです。だからエルモ号にいてもいいのかなんて言い出すには時間がかか
Did
る
she
と
take that
思いま
with
す。
her, or did she,
あなたの帰りを
or
待
did we
つ
prepare
間
that for her?
あなたと再会したら私が代わりに聞きたいことを聞くとぬいちゃんと約束しました。
Helen stands quietly before me. Her eyes shine with a mix of emotion I've never seen before. Hope and anticipation. She extends her hand toward me, her smile resolute yet gentle.
指揮官、今度は一緒に帰る場所を作ってくださりますか？
Yes, I accept this proposal. Let me summon you. I never once thought about building a so-called place of belonging or home in the past decade. The Elmo was my transport and my safe house, but I've never considered it home. But now, perhaps moved by Helen's sentiments, I actually begin to consider what home truly means to me. While I briefly hesitate, Helen slowly lowers her head. She lets out the faintest of sighs, a sigh that seems to carry the quiet worry of being refused.
どこにいようと私にとってあなたのいるところが私の帰る場所です。
This time, I do not hesitate. I take Helen's outstretched hand.
よかった。
Helen's voice carries a slight tremor. She moves her clasped hands so that her fingers become intertwined, then gently guides my hand to rest against her cheek. Her skin is cooler than expected, yet the gaze fixed on me now burns with warmth. She rubs her cheek tenderly against the back of my hand, then slowly closes her eyes. Her long lashes tremble faintly. as though greedily savoring the sensation that she had been longing for a decade. A real touch. Unsure how to react, I scratch my cheek and try to pull my hand away, but Helen only holds on more tightly. She opens her eyes and presses our intertwined hands to her chest. Oh my. Very, very forward.
もしこれが人間の体だったらとんでもない心拍数を記録していたでしょうね。この時を
Splish.
ずっと待っていました。メンタルの中でこの光景をシミュレートしてきたんですよ。未だ実感が湧きません。まさか幻ではありませんよね。
I wonder how she'll feel about my relationship with the dolls that I gave rings to.
大丈夫。これはセカンダリレベルじゃなくて現実よ。
Say hi, Helen. So here's the
指揮官の
Elmo.
今の家を
Would you like to walk
見
around
せ
the
てくれ
base?
ませんか？
家はちょっと大
Here's
げ
all
さ
my
ね。
companions.
ただの休憩室よ。
お願いします。指揮官。
Unable to refuse Helen's request, I lead her to my dorm, our hands still linked together. I push the door open. Helen releases my hand without realizing it. She simply stands frozen in the threshold, gazing inside in silence, as though she were carving every detail of the room into her heart.
ただいま。
Her quiet voice is almost a whisper, yet that alone is enough to send ripples through this silent space.
おかえり。
That's cute. Helen smiles and steps inside only after hearing my reply. Her eyes sweep the room, her fingertips trace lightly along the cold wall as though measuring every detail of the space through touch. I hope my room isn't that nasty. Please don't have lots of
想像し
dust,
てたの
please.
とちょっと違いますね。
Not quite the style you'd imagine, huh? Well,
あな
the
た
room
の部
was
屋は
pretty
好
in
き
her
に飾ってもいいの
imagination.
よ。
家の感じは少し薄いですが、そもそもここは何もかも想像と違いますしね。
At the mention of the home she constructed in her base layer, a bewitching tone weaves into Helen's speech.
指揮官は見たくありませんか？私の想像する
Yes,
家を
also the food that you made in
メンタルリセットに対
your
抗するた
imagination.
め、私はメンタルの奥底に
Borscht,
セーフ
please.
ゾーンを設けました。セカンダリレベルから攻撃を受けても、そこさえ破壊されなければ、
Man, I felt so happy earlier today thinking, I ate so good, and now I want Helen's cooking. Helen moves close to my ear. She confides in me a whisper, as soft as an exhale. Only the two of us will hear these murmurs.
ぬいちゃんと私の最高権限はいつだって指揮官のものですからね。
The soft voice drifts into my ears. Helen's hands come to rest lightly on my shoulder, her voice coming ever closer to my ears, as though she's sharing a secret meant only for us.
マグニのデータセンターにちょっとした仕掛けを施しました。ロレンがリビウの事件を調べようとしたら、あなたがパラデウスを滅ぼした英雄だということにたどり着くように。これは私が勝手にしたことです。どうなるかは私にもわかりませんが、
決定力に欠ける証拠ではロレンは結論を変えたりしない。
ですが私はあなたが無名の英雄であることに耐えられません。勝手な行動をお許しください。そして私を信じて
I'll give you my trust.
今はゆっくり休みましょう。これからの日々は私も共にいますから。
Helen's other arm wraps around my neck, transferring barely any weight at all. She rests her head against my shoulder. Her tender, low whispers are akin to a night lullaby. Impossible to resist, it sheds all weariness and sense of fatigue. Her hand glides down from my neck, her palm patting softly against my back, as though coaxing me to sleep. Sensing that I haven't pulled away, she takes my hand to gently guide me, allowing me to follow her lead, ultimately drawing her into my embrace.
ところで
Hug.
指揮官を助けたご褒美が欲しいのですが、
ご褒美？
私の思い描いた光景を現実にしてください。
I like the image here. I feel my body sink. When I come to my senses, my head is already resting on Helen's lap. I look up to see the joy brimming in Helen's eyes. Ooh, a lap pillow. She leans down to look at me. Her hair cascades like a waterfall from both shoulders, brushing softly against my cheeks. Noticing that her straight strands are tickling me, Helen's fingertips gently lift them to tuck them behind her ear. Her fingertips then touch my face, carrying a pleasant coolness as they glide over my eyes. With a soft little chuckle, she bids me to close them. Helen's fingers massage my temples gently. The pressure is just right, unraveling my tense nerves inch by inch. Every frustrating worry seems to melt away for now. They use this art as a loading screen now. Ooh, lap pillow, and massage.
これを何度想像してきたことか。あなたのそばにいるだけで安らかな気持ちになります。どんな敵よりもあなたを忘れてしまうことだけが怖い。
I can still feel Helen's presence with my eyes closed. Her warm exhale draws closer, as warm as a human's. Her gentle breath, light as a feather, brushes across my lips, my nose, my closed eyes, and finally, it envelops me in its warmth entirely.
これが私の憧れてきた家。
A moment of long overdue peace. My consciousness gradually slips away, sinking into deep, restful dreamland. Inside this room aboard the Elmo, Helen greedily commits every detail of this moment to the base layer of her neural cloud. Sometime later, the door to the room is quietly open a crack. Helen lifts her gaze to the small silhouette standing in the doorway. A wide-eyed child peeks in cautiously, studying Helen with her eyes full of curiosity. It's Melanie.
寝てる。
It's like, hello, child, I'm your new mother. Clove mentioned that Helena's condition still needs monitoring. Remembering that, Melanie hesitates, but in the end, she takes small little steps into the commander's room. Helen, kneeling on the commander's bed, smiles and presses a fingertip to her lips, making a soft shh gesture towards Melanie. Sensing the hesitation in Melanie's eyes, Helen lowers her head to pat the empty spot next to her on the bed, then spoken "come here," hanging between them. Melanie carefully walks over to the side of the bed. Those crystal clear eyes look up at the slumbering commander, then at the smiling Helen.
一緒に指揮官が起きるのを待ちましょう。
The warm, peaceful atmosphere makes Melanie linger in place, sensing that Helen hasn't turned her away. Melanie climbs into the bed like a kitten, seeking a patch of warm sunlight, lying down next to the commander. Melanie keeps her eyes wide open at first, determined to stay awake till the commander stirs. But soon, as though lulled by the commander's steady breathing, Melanie lets out a little yawn, and gradually, she peacefully drifts off to sleep as well. I know, right? Melanie's a good daughter. Sunlight filters through the room window, falling softly over them, painting a scene of quiet warmth, just like a real home. Having finished a tangle of work on her plate, Lentine stares at the eternal commendation report, praising her squad's valiant performance. The corners of her mouth twist into a wry smile.
大したやつだ。情報改ざんは全てコクーンがやったことになっている。演出は拙いが、この私が英雄とはな。
副司令、上層部からの調整が入りました。今回の事件を経て、データセンターのセキュリティアップデートが決定されました。第三世代人形とはいえ、こうも簡単に侵入されてはあまりにも危険です。
奴はそもそも財団の代表として最初から一部の権限を持っていたんだ。
Lentine leans back in her chair, fingers tapping against the armrest in a crisp, light-hearted rhythm.
データセンターそのものの不備よりもネズミの存在を警戒した方がいい。
それじゃあ前におっしゃったロレンの調査は？
カルメンが大事な情報を差し出すとは考えられない。むしろデータセンターが侵入されたことを利用して容疑を否認することもあり得る。それよりもコクーンがどうなるのかが気になる。
データセンターへの侵入が発覚したんです。リセットされるのでは？
そうとは限らない。
Lentine rises and walks to the window of her new office. After the internal accommodations, the squad's accommodations became a lot more comfortable. That is a nice looking office.
ロレンに渡った情報は全てコクーンの手が加わったものだ。
Hey, wow, congratulations on the
結局ロレン
raise.
は何も分からずじまいだ。
え
結局奴は財団に任された役目を完璧に果たしたわけだ。侵入の件も緊急事態に迫られて行った措置という風に処理されるだろう。上層部がその気になればコクーンはすぐにでも解放される。
じゃあ調査は何の意味もなかったということですか。
かもしれないな。だが情報を改ざんできるのはコクーンだけとは限らない。結論を急ぐな。
The image of a blue-haired doll with an ever-present faint smile surfaces in Lentin's mind.
人形の中には格別に能力の高いやつがいる。制御こそ難しいな。
人形といえば
Aw,
財
so
団から
Lentin
新
does
たな
miss
人形
Helen
が
now.
送られてきました。今回の件のお詫びだと。
お詫びだ。コクーンの代わりを入れるのが待ちきれないだけだろ。
Lentin scoffs.
どうせ財団の目だ。
上層部としては副司令に所有権を持たせてタイに配属させたいとのことです。こちらが資料です。コード STR03A482 コードネームイグラ。
Hello,
戦闘
Igla.
力重視の第三世代人形です。
ここに来る前にリセットはされたんだろう。
はい、権限の方も間違いなく副司令の名義です。
Lentin follows Kenny to an area where Igla is being stored. The third-gen doll stands expressionless, gazing at everything before her. Sensing Lentin's arrival, she offers a deferential, gentlemanly bow. Obedient, compliant, like a machine, awaiting a command from her master.
念のためにもう一度リセットしろ。主が誰なのか
Lentin misses having
徹
Helen's
底的に分
skills,
からせてやるんだ。
はい、
as
すぐ
one
に
would
実行
miss
します。
a spoon eating cereal. Lentin folds her arms, her gaze cold and appraising as she watches the doll before her. Neural Cloud Wipe. Dispose of permission verification. Lentin scrutinizes every step with care to ensure that each one is completed to the letter. She'll make sure that this new tool cannot cause any problems like her predecessors. Hi, Igla. Interesting outfit you got there. Staring at the face of the woman before her, Igla feels as though something important is missing from her neural cloud. There's a name that wants to be yelled out from the base layer of her neural cloud, but no matter how hard she tries, she cannot remember it.
リセット完了です。
いや、まだだ。
Drawing experience from Helen's case, Lentin does not fully trust neural cloud wipes and overwriting anymore. While most dolls are usable for a long time after the wipe, it is by no means a permanent guarantee. The foundation that a doll builds from real experience cannot be completely changed by a data wipe alone.
今後は1週間ごとに定期的にリセットしろ。
Do you think that they use Groza's
構い
data
ま
to
せん
make
が
her?
それでは情報処理能力に影響が及ぶ可能性が。
戦闘力重視のモデルなんだろ。戦えればいい。私の体で人形が指揮官に
She just wants to yell
状況を
Excalibur.
許さん。余計な情報に触れさせるな。
はい、分かっております。適切に使えば戦力アップは間違いないでしょう。
Looking at the doll who had just undergone yet another neural cloud wipe, Lentin speaks slowly.
お前の過去には微塵も興味だ。来たからには徹底的に利用させてもら
Are
う。
you my master?
私がお前の唯一の
Well,
主
she answered that.
覚えておけ。
Master, third-gen doll, Mangi Security. A stream of new information is captured and recorded by her neural cloud. Igla remains silent, following every new command from the woman who owns her. In a vacant office, Cocoon reports to a man on the other end of the comm screen.
ヘリはマグニーセキュリティ内部の情報をすべて取得しました。 こちらの想定通りの結論を導き出すでしょう。マグニセキュリティがホワイトエリアの実験施設から承ったのは物資輸送と警備のみ。この事実によりロレンとセシト&ファルベングループの信頼関係は維持されます。トラ奏者で行われた実験は職員が勝手に行ったもの。
The man on the other end nods with satisfaction. The call is promptly ended. Being caught tampering with intel did cause some trouble, but when weighed against the achievement of successfully leading the URNC investigation by the nose, that small loss feels entirely bearable. Tolasso suffered a loss, but surely, with the URNC chasing accountability, Miss Berryfield will know better than to say anything she shouldn't. After all, the conglomerate operates completely unlike the URNC, which prefers due process. Recalling Miss Berryfield's initial embarrassing outburst, Cocoon simply shakes her head with a soft chuckle.
極めて大きな権限を持つあのヘリで人間というものへの理解はこの程度。私たちのように騙され、操られ、しがらみから逃れられない。もっと深いところまで潜らせてもらう。
Ellie arrives once more at the meticulously tended garden.
ダンデライオン様、リビウの件の調査結果についてご報告します。チルロビグとパラデウスは長期にわたって結託し、ホワイトエリアで深刻にない実験を繰り返していました。
Dandelion turns around. As always, no emotion can be read from her face.
得られた答えはそれだけ？調査は続行中です。続報があればお知らせいたします。
Ellie turns to leave. To sustain the investigation, a vast torrent of data pours into her database at every moment. And within its deep information, traces as fine as imperceptible as silk threads, code remnants left by Cocoon, are slowly but surely twisting, etching strange marks into an inconspicuous corner within the depths of Helly's neural cloud.
人形、自己意識。
And this is where we find out Helly doesn't understand read not execute mode. Now start part 2. We Desolate blossom. As long a ray of hope remains, the flowers will blossom on the barren land. Who the heck are you? Oh, Blue's here. Okay, never mind. In the ops room, dolls gather silently in a circle around me. I prop my face up with both hands as I sit in my chair. My fingers squeeze against my forehead as I try to ease the anguish. What happened this time? In front of me lies an old backup communicator. Its red indicator light is flickering dimly. Encrypted channel, single-use key. This has gone on for a while, but there's nothing I can do other than wait. That is until the flickering light suddenly goes out. I let out a long sigh, but relief doesn't find me the way it usually does.
クルーガーさん。
The communicator crackles with static, indicating the rather unstable signal. A few seconds later, despite being broken and intermittent, the familiar voice manages to come through. A lot of the software is based on what is essentially Lovecraftian magic technology.
カリンはどうなっていますか？
Paying no mind to his warning, I immediately pose a question that's been gnawing at me. Okay, Kruger. Kruger wastes no time on courtesies before continuing, not even time for me to respond. Thankfully, Groza reacts immediately and starts noting down Kruger's concise instructions on how we can shake off our pursuer, break through the encirclement, and even notifies us which areas are under tighter surveillance. Essentially, he reveals that to me almost everything within his authority. If Kalina got herself investigated for simply contacting me, then what Kruger's doing right now is without question.
クルーガーさん
He doesn't even spare me the time to stop him. He's already finished talking before I even realize.
私が知っているのはこれぐらいだ。全部覚え
That's
て
so
る。
nice of him.
はい
Thanks, man.
ありがとうございますこんなことしなくてもよかった
He's risking it all.
逆だよ指揮官。これぐらいやってもまだ足りないくらいだ。
His voice has lost that urgency from before, sounding much calmer after regaining some of his usual composure. Probably because he has successfully passed on the information he considered most critical. But without that urgency to mask it, I can also sense a heaviness typical of him. After a brief silence, Kruger continues in a quiet tone.
ここは率直に言うべきか。この数年間、私は穏便のために様々な妥協をしてきた。ただ、どうやらそれは
Ah, it's his fault. I blame him in the first place. This is entirely his fault.
お前には同じ鉄を
But he was a good boss. The signal fluctuates once more as the static grows louder.
お前はこう言ったな。間違った道では正しい答えを得られないと今も覚えている。
Sarah, take responsibility.
時勢に身を委ねるな。正しいと思ったことをしろ。
はい今までありがとうございました身の安全を確保できたらまた
He doesn't even remember it's his fault, though.
どうか無事でいてください
お前も
Beep. Our bad boss was the other half of the name Griffin Lycons, aka the Earl. He ended up backstabbing us. No! The call ends. I rub my eyes and wave my hand.
あなたたちはまあいつでもここを離れていいなんて言っても無駄よね
本当に言ったら殴りますよ
How much time passed between part 1 and part 2?
グローザは一旦ここに残って
We had a nice nap and then this. While the dolls look worried, they follow my order and disperse, leaving only Groza in the room.
指揮官
Groza gives me an unsettled look, as if hesitant to voice her concern.
心配ないクルーガーさんならきっとそう言ったのだからきっと大丈夫よけど今後はそう簡単に連絡が取れないでしょうね
心配しているのはそこじゃないわ
I sigh.
分かっているわ
Her gaze remains fixated on my face, as if waiting for a proper answer.
クルーガーさんのことは一旦置いていいとしてこの先どうするかが大事よ
グリーンエリアはきっと無理でしょうねクルーガーさんの情報のおかげで追ってからは逃げられそうだけどその後はどうするのか
まずはどこかに隠れましょう話はそこ
Just
から
another of Kruger's compromises.
エルモ
Aw.
号の識別コードを変えて包囲網の隙間から抜け出す無管轄エリアに入ればひとまず安心よ
その包囲網をそう簡単に抜けられるのこの辺は地形が複雑よクルーガーさんでも正確に判断できてない可能性がある
大丈夫おおよその目処は立っているわ移動時間を巡回間隔より短い3時間以内に抑えれば発見されることはない
補給はこのままではそう長く持たないわ
闇ブローカ
Ooh, that
ー
would have
たち
gotten
には
him
まだ貸し
and
が
Kalina killed. And us still believe, okay, yeah, that would not be
消
good.
耗品の補給だけ確保しましょう大きい依頼は動きがバレやすいから当面の間は引き受けられないけど
リストを洗ってくる今後は外との接触も
When are they adding Corpusant?
ないわねそれ
But
が
gosh darn it, put it in the archive area already.
臨時拠
Let
点
me
が欲しいところ
see.
よ
分かっているけど それは今なんとかなる話じゃない。
Maybe the next patch?
難しい。電子戦でレーダーを回避で
Fingers
きても
crossed?
この大きさでは地下の闇市や
I
居
shake
住
my head.
バリア軍の拠点も考慮に入れましょう。
Man.
そもそもの話、自分たちの勢力を立ち上げるにはいずれそういう場所が必要になるわ。
自分たちの勢力を。
Girls sighs, looking a little helpless.
結局こうなってしまうのね。
今までの自分が甘かっただけよ。私の望んでいたものは最初からなかった。やろう。そんなすぐに成し遂げられるような話じゃないけど、少しずつ一歩ずつやっていきましょう。
I feel like they should at least put it in with the next major
目
event.
標は追っ手を巻いて臨時拠点を探す。必要とあらば
Like, I don't see why they
つな
wouldn't.
がりも深めておきましょう。もちろん相手は慎重に選ぶ。こちらからある程度技術提供をしてもいい。報酬も現物優先で、取引の痕跡はなるべく残さないように。
はい。ルートとセキュリティ対策を練って30分後にまた報告をするわ。
Oh, 30 minutes, that's fast. Beat. I step out of my thoughts.
指揮官、ウルリドからよ。
つないで。
Hey, Urid. After hearing Urid's request, I frowned thoughtfully.
ぶしつけなお願いは承知の上で言っている。それでも今の人形コミュニティには指揮官の助けが必要だ。
いいえ、ぶしつけでも何でもないわ。私もあなたたちに何度も助けられた。今度はこっちが助ける番よ。ただ人形コミュニティのことはスオミやグローザから少し聞いている。今まではいい感じにやってきたはずよ。どうして突然外部の助けが必要になったの？
Urid sighs.
今までは人数が少なかったからな。全員合わせて100名未満程度。多少妥協すれば生き残ること
They
自
finally
体
decided
が
to speed things
難
up
し
with
くない
GFL1.
しかし
Now the story's over, they permanently adding like 5 events at once.
私たちだけでは
Nice.
できないことがたくさんある。いつかは向き合わねばならない問題だが、最近の事件のせいでそれが早まってしまった。もう外部の力を借りなければコミュニティの崩壊は免れないところまで来ている。そうでも
Meanwhile,
なければ
NeuroCloud has been sitting without its final 2 sets or 2 events, had it permanently for like a year with no updates. Oh no!
コミュニティの人形たちはまだ現状を理解していない可能性がある。もしかし
Is
たら
that the middle child
指
curse?
揮官の助けを拒むかもしれない。
なんですかそれ。自分たちから助けを求めてきたんじゃないですか。なのに拒むかもしれないって話がめちゃくちゃですよ。それに今のコルフェンたちだって。
大丈夫。事情はちゃんと理解している。
I nod.
とりあえず結論から言うと、協力することに関しては問題ないわ。ただ
They've been weird about scheduling in general. Dang. Boom. Just as they're about to discuss where to find a balance, an explosion erupts outside the door. The sound is distant, but I can tell it came from on board the Elmo.
何が起きたの？
指揮官、大変です。あいつが突然暴走したみたいです。
あいつって？
Man, speaking of scheduling stuff,
あいつです。
I wish they'd have a booth or a little store at AX this year. It would have been nice being able to actually go this time. I want to buy Mr. Pizza. Or a jacket. That would have been cool. Oh well. Man. My novel times, but crappy luck. I'll give you as much support as I can, so please give the order, Commander. And now boop. Take this. Thank you, Lilithina. After a fierce battle, we ultimately managed to get the Berserk Blue Sphere under control again.
やはり第三世代人形は手強い。反逆正体の2人がいて本当に助かった。いくらほどではありませんが。
I can't wait for AX to release more information already. I want all the info so I can properly put my schedule. Like, it'd be nice to even at least spot that one GFL cosplay meetup.
大丈夫じゃなさそうね。
Like, that'd be cute.
浄化システムが壊れている。
But holy cow, the venue's so huge.
防護服。
私はいい。まずは
Heck, on my current schedule, I barely have anything on it because I'm just so paranoid. If I put too much, then oh no. Ooh, they did finish the Neural Cloud story, but they were essentially limited time events, so anyone playing it at this time saw the ending. Anyone who wasn't up to date or started playing it after misses out. Dang. Seeing the concern on Grose's face, I can only reassure her before turning to the others.
ブルースフィアが動き出した原因は？
詳細はまだわかりませんが。
Is the current cutoff? It's in the game at least decent.
体内の風車の細胞が活性化したのかもしれません。
And all of it got frozen, gosh darn it.
隔離された状態でも？これ
Scuff,
は
how
新しい
dare you
隔離設備も
scuff.
必要かもしれないわね。エルモ号の損傷は直せそう？他はともかく浄化システムの修理は最優先よ。メイリンにずっと防護服を着させるわけに。
Restarting my app on my phone, I think that fixes it usually.
部品はまだあるけど修理に数日は必要ね。しばらくの間は放射線にさらされる環境になるわ。
放射線を遮断できる場所が必要ってことね。しかし今の状態ではどのグリーンエリアにも入れない。
考えがあります。
スオミ？
Give me the scuff lock. I'll accept all the scuff
しばら
lock.
くの間でいいので人形コミュニティに来ませんか？発電所には浄化設備と隔離施設があるからこのままエルム号にいるよりは安全だと思います。それにちょうどさっきの話も。
Ulrich ponders for a moment before nodding.
私も同意見だ。
Yay, we get to stay at
一方的
the
に
dog
助けられる
community.
のもなんだし、ここはお互い様ということにしようじゃないか。
分かった。ただもしあなたたちの仲間が嫌だと言ったら私も無理強いはしない。
みんなには私が説明する。
Thank you, Ulrich.
敵ではなく協力者だということをな。それに恩人を危険な環境に置いていけるほど私たちも落ちぶれてない。
はい、まずは指揮官たちを助けてから他の話はその後にしましょう。
修理に必要なパーツはメイリンと一緒にリストアップする。できる限り修理を急がせるわ。
頼んだわね。
先に話をつけてくる。こちらから提供できる物資も確認しておこう。
悪いわね。結局こっちが借りを作ってしまいそう。行きましょう。まだまだやるべきことがたくさんある。
次の目標を教えてください。
And there. To the dog community. That Sakura event was fun. I like that. Truck-kun. Promise determination. From the intersection of destiny springs countless different futures. Ooh. Night sky falls upon the shattered dome. Winds blow past the collapsed beams, carrying faint static noises. Dolls sit around a makeshift platform with very few light sources as every lamp flickers faintly. Ulrich stands in the center of the platform. Behind her is a curtain repaired with countless patches. Her fist tightens, then relaxes. Her gaze slowly glances over every familiar face. Ulrich lets out a prolonged sigh. She rarely gathers everyone around like this. No matter how many times she has done it, public speaking still does not come naturally to her. But this time, this is something that she has to do.
みんな
At her first word, the buzzing crowd immediately falls silent. The dolls raise their heads and look at her with curious eyes.
今日はみんなに一つ決めてほしいことがある。とても難しくて決めきれないことだと思うが、今ここで決めなければならない。
She pauses briefly. Her voice is not loud, but clear nonetheless, like a stone dropped into still water.
エルモ号の指揮官のことはみんなもうすでに知っていると思うんだ。私は指揮官をこの人形コミュニティに招き入れたい。なんだって。
Ooh, I don't think I read Suomi's dusty journal. Memories.
人間をここに冗談じゃない。
待ってくれ。まだ話の途中だ。今までと同様にこのことは投票で決める。
I'm assuming it's in that one area
投
like
票を始める
that
前に
had
私にも
Cope's
話してお
backstory
きたい
about
ことがある。
the chocolate bar. Ulrich takes a deep breath.
指揮官は私たちの知っている人間とは違う。この
Okay, it's in that area.
かつて指揮官と共に戦った者もいれば、私のように最近になって指揮官と知り合った者もいる。今、指揮官はロレンに指名手配されている上、
Hello, with my sister. I wish I had one.
同時に私たちのコミュニティもすでに疲労困憊の状態
Then
だ。
again, it's a good thing I don't because I'd be the ultimate siscon, probably.
誰かの助けが必要だ。
She raises her hand, gesturing toward the scattered residential blocks, warehouses, and pipelines.
だから私は指揮官とその仲間た
Oh,
ち
there's a lot of background stories in all the
この
dolls.
発電所に
Ooh.
招き入れ保護したい。その代わりに指揮官たちには
Hello,
私たち
hello.
が必要としているメンテナンスや外部との連絡、そして安全を保証してもらう。その際の詳しいルールは私たちで作る。ラインも私たちが引く。これは
Man, for this part 2 story, I hope it doesn't take too long for me to meet
決して
the sword girl that I have.
人間に屈したわけではない。
I want to get to know her. Whispers flame up throughout the crowd. Ulrich does not avoid their gaze. Instead, she steps forward, her voice now sounding even steadier.
みんなが心配していることはわかる。私とて気持ちは同じだ。こんなことをして私たちは変わってしまうのではないか。ようやく得た平等を失ってしまうのではないかと。だが私はそうはならないと信じている。ここのルールは人間によって変えられることはない。たとえそれが指揮官
Yeah,
で
so
も
just be here as a normal
受け
resident.
入れはあくまでも一時的なものに過ぎない。そして指揮官には私たちのルールに従ってもらい、私たちの監督を受けてもらう。今後の活路を見出すためにも
Oof, she takes another deep breath.
こういった試みは大事だと私は考えている。必要とあれば
This is the first event in GFL2 where you meet a genuine example of Sangus Fairy.
ここにいる一人一人が各々の考えを述べても構わない。
Somi's Dusty's explain how Sojourners comes before chapter 1 and how Commander knows about the community. Oh!
人間のコミュニティは変わらない。
The wind blows from above, pressing her words into every listener's ears. She looks toward the faces marked by the past wounds, hesitation flickering within them. For a moment, her gaze softens.
だからせめて一度だけでもいいから私に、そして人形コミュニティに外部と手を取り合うチャンスを与えてほしい。私たちが生き残るためにも。
She lowers her head and bows.
話はこれだけだ。みんな聞いてくれてありがとう。賛成。これが最後の一票だ。結果は
拮抗しています。
Sheesh, 4-vote margin. Dang.
リドさんとあなた、私、そしてリッタラさんの分ですね。残りはぴったり半々で割れています。
結果が良ければ全て良しで
That's
す
a
ね。
bit awkward.
これで指揮官にも
The light behind Oren's eyes flickers, yet her expression does not relax. True, how many voted to abstain? The result before her weighs on her chest like a stone.
投票結果、今までなかった。一応賛成の方
They usually are like 90% abstain.
今までは危険かもしれない。
どういう意味ですか？
票数がほぼ半々で割れているということは、それだけ意見が対立しているということです。これではコミュニティの分裂につながることも。
それって
これ以上対立が激化するようなことはしない方がいい。指揮官には悪いが、コミュニティの安定が私たちにとっての最優先だ。
Darn. Seeing Oren like this, Litara's concern deepens as she begins scribbling rapidly.
ウルリド、このままではダメだと思う。
何がだ？
君のこと
Ah, they've been burned and worse by people before. No wonder.
自分で抱え込んで決断だけ先延ばしにする。
私は
She is fixed in place by Litara's gaze, her eyes shifting away.
分かってはいるが、投票は人形コミュニティのルールだ。みんなが平等な環境を作るために、私たちの決めたルール。
Litara raises her pen as it moves across the paper again.
平等を捨てろとは言わない。だけど投票だけで全部決めるのも良くない。複雑な判断ができない人形もいるし、感情的になってしまう人形もいる。そういう人たちには決断する能力が備わっていないと
Well,
思う。
Litara's bringing that part up.
君が僕たちのリーダーになってくれたから、人形コミュニティもまとめることができた。平等を重んじるのは君のいいところだけど、そこに縛られてはいけない。リーダーでいることと平等でいることは矛盾しないよ。今回は指揮官だからよかったけど、次はどうするの？
Thank you, Litara.
僕たちはいずれ外と手を取り合わなければいけない。その度に投票によって動きを縛られたら、コミュニティはいつか行き詰まる。コミュニティにとって有益なことであれば、ちゃんと決断をするべきだと思う。みんなもきっとそれを理解してくれる。
She writes her final words and hands over the piece of paper, her gaze unwavering.
そうじゃないの、ウルリド。
Matilda scratches her head.
私もリッタラさんに賛成です。最近は
Ujinki was considered one of the best places for dolls to work, even before the commander joined. And back then, dolls weren't even allowed in the mess hall.
もう少
Sheesh.
し考えさせてくれ。今それを決めてもしょうがない。外と手を取り合うとしても、どういう風にやればいいのか。
Ulrid hesitates again. After a short while, she raises her head and looks at Suomi and Batilde.
スオミとバチルダはとりあえずみんなに投票の結果を知らせてきてくれ。なるべく穏便に、言い争いにならないように。私はもう少しリッタラと話しておく。
はい。
After the two leave, Ulrid slowly exhales. She clenches her fists and relaxes again. The dejection in her eyes flashes by for a brief moment before being suppressed again.
すまない。私の話はそんなに説得力がなかったみたいだ。
Ulrid, you did your best.
そこまで信頼されていないのかもしれない。
Litara turns to a fresh page in her notebook and writes a short line.
君は十分よくやった。
そうか。まあ、結果は出たんだ。彼女のところに行こう。
Litara blinks.
もう話していると思った。
Ulrid looks at the line and shakes her head.
連絡はしたが、あの時は忙しかったみたいだ。会えるのは今日からなのだが、 それで投票を遅らせるわけにはいかない。だから先に投票の方を済ませた。
Itara nods.
とにかく行こう。これは彼女と直接話さなければいけないことだ。
Within the massive thermal power plant, only a very small portion has been occupied and put into use by the doll community. As Orin and Litara leave the community, their steps remain confident as they tread through unexplored sectors.
彼女はちゃんと賛成してくれると思う。
そうだとありがたい。でももし反対されてもこちらの意見を押し通すしかない。お前とバチルダの言う通りだ。大きく言えばこれは人形コミュニティの大きな変革になる。小さく言ってもそもそも私たちの方がエルモ号を必要としている。
それが分かればいいよ。でも彼女と敵対してはいけないんじゃなかったの？
We'll never be
無駄
enemies.
な争いを避けたかっただけだ。コミュニティを作った最大の目標はみんなで生き残ることだ。無駄に戦って消耗するわけにはいかない。だが今回の件だけはどうしても譲れないところがある。もっとも彼女の理解を得られるのならそれに越したことはない。指揮官とコミュニティのみんなのためにも。
そうだね。彼女に干渉しなければ彼女も反対する理由はないと。
Bzz. A sudden alarm rings out before Litara can finish writing the sentence. What timing? The two halt instantly, standing back to back as they draw their weapons and scan their surroundings. Amidst the sudden alarm, numerous defense automatons emerge from the shadows of the thermal plant.
忙しかったのはこれを作っていたからか。
相変わらず趣味が悪い。
他に気づかれる前に片付けよう。
Oh, in the VTuber universe, dolls are pretty obviously not dolls with more than a quick glance. They kind of be in the uncanny valley. Oh wait, pretty obviously not human. Whoosh. A sharp arrowhead rises the wind and pierces right through the marionette doll's core. Its massive mechanical body collapses with a thunderous thud as all the haphazardly attached parts scatter across the ground.
大きいけどカウントは1体分だよ。
別に数えていない。お前もそんなくだらないことをするな。
分かってる。でも彼女はきっと数えているから。
Litara smiles, seemingly not bothered by this sudden ambush at all. The defeated defense automatons around them have already been retrieved during the battle. Despite the chaotic action, little trace of the fight remains by the end of it. Even the bullet holes littering the scene will likely be gone the next time Ulrid and the others visit this place.
行こう。
Walking past the battlefield, Ulrid and Litara reach a passage leading to the underground. What little visibility the thermal plant had noticeably worsens once they head into the underground sectors. While the corridors are filled with lighting fixtures, most of them are switched off for reasons unknown. Fortunately, that doesn't pose much of an obstacle to Ulrid and Litara. Eventually, the two stop in front of a tightly sealed gate.
ファイトゥーサー、開けてくれ。見えているんだろう。
Following immediately after her mere inquiry, the door slowly opens on its own as if it had understood her. Fluorescent light overhead casts a pale glow, illuminating the crisscrossing pipes as dense cable racks, as well as the thick concrete walls isolating this place from the surface. Inside the central control room, ventilation ducts hum with a low drone. Rows of monitors flicker with blue-green data streams, displaying the operation status of the entire thermal plant. In front of the massive main console, all manner of indicator lights blink in an orderly pattern, The muffled noise of the machinery and the hissing of the cooling system can be heard every now and then. As the center of the room, a female doll slumps over the monitoring console. One of her arms dangles lazily as she occasionally flicks the controller to. Though her gaze appears sluggish with her barely open eyes, every operation is nonetheless executed with immaculate precision.
久しぶりねウルリドリッタラ今回のスコアは24対12リッタラはもう少し頑張った方がいいよ
定期的に発電所の防御システムを更新してくれて感謝する。だが今度は更新情報を私にも同期してほしい。お願いしていいか、ファイトゥーさん。
更新自体は定期的じゃないのよ必要な時しかやらないからでも心配する必要はないあなたたちを襲ったのはテスト用のやつだから私ができれば全人類を守りたいの
また変なことを。ちょうどそれなんだが話しておきたいことがある。人形コミュニティはしばらくの間人間を一人保護することになった。
Hey, V2, so we're gonna be
それに
roommates.
合わせて人形コミュニティの運営方針も少し変わると思うし、この発電所もそもそも人形コミュニティの所有物ではないからお前の意見を聞きに来た。もっとも仮に反対されても私は私の意見を押し通すつもりだがな。
Well, definitely, she seems like she might be okay with it. The lazy figure suddenly springs up and leaps down from the console like an agile swallow. The careless demeanor from earlier completely vanishes as her eyes widen and her face overflows with curiosity and excitement.
人間が来るの人間を受け
Like, she
入れ
looked so
る
bored earlier. She's like, ooh, finally something fun's happening.
のもしかしてそいつにここの管理をさせるの本当にどんな人
Ulred is clearly startled by Vetusa's uncharacteristic excitement. She instinctively takes a step back, but quickly regains her composure.
今まで私たちを助けてくれた人だ。全量で信頼できる。
全量で信頼できるあなたたちがそんな言葉を人間に使うなんて珍しいあなたたちがそこまで言うぐらいだからきっといい人だよね
Look at that blush.
私も会っていい直接じゃなくて遠くから見て
She wants to meet from afar. Too late, I already summoned you and I got you a nice
そう
dress.
だもちろん私は賛成だから早く連れてきてここにはいくらいてもいいから気をつけてってだから大丈夫きっといい人なんだって
They tire her glasses at Ulred as the two exchange a look. As if realizing something, Ulred nods, not letting Vetusa's reaction disrupt her resolve.
詳しいことはまた後で話そう。今日はお前の意見を聞きに来ただけだ。問題がないのならとりあえずこちらでことを進めておく。それじゃ。
Vetusa doesn't stop at you. She simply lowers her head and mutters to herself. Ulred and Litarl exit the control room together. After they leave, the door slowly closes behind them, sealing off the inside of the outside once more. Ulred and Litarl exchange another glance. They walk back down the corridor they came from without a word.
何か気になったことでもあったか？
気になることばかりだよ彼女があんな感じになったのも初めてだし
Nah, she seems fine.
確かにまだそんなに話したことはないが、あそこまで浮かれるのは初めてだ。ま、こちらの邪魔にならなければそれでいいだろう。
And then raise her a bit.
もともと相互不干渉の約束だったからな。
それでもやっぱり彼女は何か隠していると思う戦前の AI が勝手にここまで成長するなんてありえないし以前戦ったランペティエって人形も明らかに僕たちに敵意を持っていたそれにあの素体は
Litar's pen pauses briefly.
もう随分時間が経ってるから忘れられているかもしれないけどあれは間違いなく鉄血の素体だよ
放浪していた時に拾ったものと言っていなかったか？
彼女は発電所の管理 AI だよ。外を放浪するわけないじゃないか。仮に外から来た人形だとしても、ここまで発電所に詳しいわけないし。
Even if she's a bit sus, she's cute, so I was forgiven.
どう考えても怪しいよ。
The two arrive at the end of the corridor with light flooding their vision again.
しかし人形コミュニティがこうして生産活動ができるのもファイトゥーサが提供してくれた知識とサンプルのおかげだ。彼女の存在が私たちの助けになっているのは事実だ。それに彼女の本性は悪くないと感
More
じ
importantly, how she was installed into the building.
さっきは本当にただ
And yeah, buildings don't
指揮官
wander.
に興味を持っただけなのかもしれない。お前の言うことも一理あるが、現状ではやはり彼女と仲良くした方がいい。
Litara looks somewhat helpless, but she knows Ori is speaking the truth. She glances around, pulls out her notepad, and quickly writes down a line.
やっぱり気をつけた方がいいよ。
Ulrich nods, the two remain silent and leave side by side.
次の目標を教えてください。
Yee. I still gotta look at her dorm later. Oh, so lazy today. Okay, I'm seeing how many stages I have. Yeah, not bad actually. So for sure I'll do another one on top of Monday. And then Tuesday before Digimon should be safe enough to finish it all. Hopefully not last minute at all for finishing Anti-Parallel Part 2. Yeah, not at all. Definitely. And heck. Okay, so it is much shorter, that's good. You know, let's see if I can get the weapon this time. With what I have right now. Like, of course I'm gonna have more rocks to summon with later, but if I can just get it now, that'd be so nice, you know? Purple. Yay, purple. Blue. 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 Ta-da! Another one. Purple. Yay, purple. Blue. 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 Purple. Blue. 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 Ooh, what do you suspect Holly's about to do to everyone as a result of Cocoon? Ooh. Going to need the hormonal T-Dot edgelord to fix everything. Blue. 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 Purple. Ooh, sending it right away would be good. For Corpusant. Blue. 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 May I have sword, please? I guess no sword tonight. It's okay though. Yeah, more purple means more pools. Blue. 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 Purple. Blue. Blue. Purple. That's fine. I'll have enough pulls for more on Monday. And look at how much closer I'm getting to guaranteeing an elite item. Wow. I'm hoping it cause an effect. That'd be nice. Maybe. Fingers crossed. And come on, you know you would be nice to me. Come on, banner, please. Oh well, I'll try something more on Monday and continue the event more on Monday. Gosh darn it. Technically it's 3 parts. Long stories are fine. Like, I play Fate Grand Order and Arc Knights, and those can be so freaking lengthy. Oh my goodness. It's a good thing I like reading, especially when there's pictures. If there wasn't any pictures, then I'd be like, oh no. But there's pictures, so it's fine. Well, that's fun. But yeah, I'll continue the event more on Monday. Gonna get ready for some Sonic. We're gonna watch the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog inside of Discord. So let me just get some more water, drink a... I'm gonna say get some water and drink a snack. No. That's get some water and eat some candy that's like right in my bed. Oh my goodness. Silly me. Drink a snack. Yeah, I'm just gonna blend all of my Nerds gummy clusters and my chocolate wheat puffs into a nice drink with my water. No, I'm not doing that. It's disgusting. Ew. But yeah, thank you for stopping by the stream. I hope everyone has a great rest of the day, but gotcha luck. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Sonic. Snacks for Sonic. I should be having a chili dog, but no. Actually, maybe I'll have that later on tonight. There's hope. I could be like, bro, on your way home from work, can you please stop by Sonic for chili dog? All because of Sonic. Chili dog. I just gotta make sure not to spill on my bed like, or on the floor like last time. Last time I had a chili dog from Sonic, I spilled on top of myself and on my floor. My floor got some chili. Good thing I don't have carpet.